In a realm forged from shadows, the ultimate showdown begins. Witness the primal fury as werewolf hunts werewolf in a struggle for dominance. Meanwhile, the elders conspire, their ancient powers summoned to tilt the scales of fate. Ancient secrets, unthinkable alliances, and a battle that could unravel the very fabric of reality. Who will seize power in the epic saga of Crimson Dawn, the Shadow Realm? Stay tuned and dive into the darkness. Chapter 1. The Gathering Shadows. In the secluded darkness of their hidden cave, Eldur and Serana convened with 6 newly freed elders, each one a shadowy figure drawn from the forgotten depths of memory. The cave's walls, damp and echoing the faint whispers of the realm, formed a stark contrast to the strategic intensity inside. "We need more power, Eldur," Serana insisted, her voice a blend of urgency and calculation. "We must seek out the most formidable creatures trapped in memory. Their strength could be our key to overthrowing Veylan." Eldur nodded, his eyes gleaming with a mix of resolve and ambition. "Agreed. But our priority is also to locate the sage, or perhaps even Winter, though I suspect Winter might not be part of this forsaken realm." Serana paced, her form flickering slightly with impatience. "If Winter is here, he's hidden beyond even Veylan's reach. For now, let's continue to bolster our ranks. The more elders we awaken, the stronger our force against Veylan will become." Meanwhile, Veylan, the keeper of the Shadow Realm, traversed the barren landscapes that he commanded. His steps were silent, but carried the weight of inevitability. Approaching a swirling vortex of shadows, he peered into a memory that held a fierce, primal werewolf, the Alpha, created for a singular purpose: to maintain the balance against the elders. Veylan murmured as he gazed at the captive beast, its eyes burning with a wild, untamed ferocity. With a gesture of his hand, the boundaries of the memory dissolved, and the Alpha stepped forward, its presence formidable and imposing. "Awake, creature," Veylan commanded, his voice resonating with power. "It is time to fulfill your destiny. Keep the elders in check as you were designed to do." As the Alpha shook off the remnants of its shadowy prison, its roar echoed through the realm, a sound that promised chaos and retribution. Back in their cave, Eldur and Serana sensed a shift in the air, a disturbance that spoke of a new, formidable challenge about to unfold. Eldur turned to the gathered elders, his expression grim yet determined. "Prepare yourselves. The true test of our resolve is upon us. Veylan has made his move, and we must respond with all the cunning and strength at our disposal." Chapter 2. Echoes of the Past. As the Alpha tore across the desolate landscape of the Shadow Realm, its powerful limbs kicked up clouds of dust that lingered in the air like specters of its tumultuous passage. Its instincts, primal and unyielding, urged it forward with a singular, destructive purpose: to annihilate the elders. The air howled past, mirroring the fury in its heart and the relentless drive of its enormous paws against the barren ground. But as the miles stretched on, a shift occurred, a flicker of consciousness amid the wild impulses. The Alpha's relentless pace slowed, its fierce snarls quieting to heavy pants. Memories began to seep through the cracks of its primal armor, illuminating flashes of a past life. Images of a man with a chrome mask surfaced, a presence that had been both a leader and a protector, a father figure whose sacrifice had once altered the very fabric of reality. The Alpha stopped in its tracks, its massive head tilting towards the sky. A long, mournful howl broke from its throat, resonating across the Shadow Realm. This howl was laden with the weight of memory and loss, a lament for a past that was both cherished and heartbreaking. In this moment of poignant clarity, the Alpha's eyes focused with a new determination. It gazed at the distant fortress of Veylan, a monolithic structure that stood as a bastion of control and oppression. A deep, instinctual knowledge took hold, the realization that Veylan was the architect of its current plight and the source of the Shadow Realm's suffocating confines. The memories Winter had instilled in the Alpha, whether by design or deep-seated emotional connection, had ignited a spark of rebellion within the beast. With renewed purpose, the Alpha shifted its massive frame, no longer a mere instrument of destruction, guided by Veylan's will. Now it sought redemption and freedom, not just for itself, but for the father figure who had given everything to save it. With a powerful grunt, the Alpha began its march towards Veylan's fortress, each step a defiance against the fate that had been imposed upon it. Its path was no longer one of blind fury, but a deliberate stride towards confrontation, driven by a newfound resolve to overcome the Shadow Realm and its keeper. Chapter 3. The Watcher's Gaze. Veylan stood atop a vantage point within the Shadow Realm, his eyes sweeping across the barren, echo-filled expanse with an omnipotent calm. He watched intently as Eldur and Serana, figures of shadow and deceit, liberated more of their kind from the memories held captive in the realm's fabric. His gaze then shifted to the Alpha, whose burgeoning defiance added a ripple to the otherwise still landscape. A sly smile crept across Veylan's ageless face. "Like ants marching to their doom," he murmured to the emptiness around him. He found a certain amusement in their futile attempts at rebellion, knowing well the limits of their reach within his domain. "Let them have their fun, for now," he continued, his voice echoing like a whisper of the wind across the realm. "For centuries have I watched this place, and I will put them all back in their boxes when I have finished toying with them." Veylan, born from a cosmic need, was not just a guardian, but a manifestation of the universe's demand for order. His existence was both eternal and essential, tasked with an unending vigil to ensure that none of the creatures of shadow overstepped the bounds set by reality itself. His power, vast and unchallenged within the confines of the Shadow Realm, was granted by the cosmos to maintain the delicate balance between the world of myths and the tangible reality that humans occupied. As he watched the Elders and the Alpha stir unrest, Veylan reflected on his eternal purpose. Each entity within this realm was a potential threat to the outside world, and his role was to contain these threats indefinitely. He was the dam holding back a flood of ancient and chaotic forces that, if released, could unravel the fabric of reality. The power Veylan wielded was not merely about suppression, it was a necessary force of stability. His existence ensured that the Shadow Realm remained a prison for those who could upend the natural order. As much as he was the keeper, he was also the last line of defense against the potential havoc that Eldur, Serana, and their ilk could wreak if they were to ever find their way back into the human world. This chapter of eternal vigilance was Veylan's alone to write, and as he watched the unfolding drama, he knew that soon he would have to intervene to reassert his dominance. The thought did not burden him. It was simply his nature, as inevitable as the rise and set of the stars in the sky above. Chapter 4. Shadows within shadows. In the Shadow Realm, where reality blurred with the echoes of forgotten myths, an elder named Varys returned from a short reconnaissance mission with urgent news. His face was pale, marked by the weight of his discovery. "Eldur, we have found something," he panted, rushing towards Eldur, who was discussing strategies with Serana. "What is it? A gateway? A weapon?" Eldur pressed, his voice tinged with both hope and impatience. "No." Varys shook his head, his eyes wide with a mixture of fear and excitement. "A strange version of a shadowy memory, only it's different. I looked inside, and I saw him. He looked right at me as if he knew who I was. Who? The sage, Winter? Elder's voice rose in anticipation. Speak, damn you. No, I am sure it was the one called Eldritch, Varys exclaimed. Serana's expression darkened at the mention of the name. He is no friend of ours, she remarked coldly. Eldur nodded, his mind racing with the possibilities. The enemy of our enemy, he mused aloud. Eldritch is indeed formidable and does possess the intellect to help us, if we can indeed get him on our side. I will not go, Serana interrupted, her tone firm. He almost killed me last time. I will go, declared Eldur decisively. He followed Varys to the shadowy portal. Merging into his shadow form, Eldur entered the anomalous memory. As soon as he materialized, a voice greeted him, smooth and confident. Welcome, Eldur. I have been expecting you. Eldur scanned his surroundings, finding Eldritch seated calmly, almost regally, in the midst of the shadowy echo. Eldritch, the situation has changed, Eldur began, trying to convey the urgency of their plight. I understand we've had our differences, but now is the time to come together for the greater good of the elders. Eldritch raised an eyebrow, his gaze piercing. Nothing you do is for the greater good, Elder. It's always been for your own ambitions. How are you able to remember, even when trapped within this shadow memory? Eldur asked, curious despite himself. Not all elders are created equal, Eldritch replied with a slight smirk. Here, I can exist without the burden of the outside world, without the worries of man's greed or the incessant need to take from others. Eldur pleaded, his voice earnest. We need you, Eldritch. Veylan is too powerful for us alone. We must stand together. I simply want to exist in reality, not this place. Maybe we could even find Winter here. Eldritch's expression darkened at the mention of Winter. You must not. If he is even in this place, his return would spell doom for reality. Then you will help us, Eldur pressed, sensing a shift in the conversation. No. Eldritch's voice was firm, resolute. I seek nothing but peace. Now leave. I grow weary of your presence. Eldur could feel Eldritch's anger and knew better than to press further. As he withdrew, his parting words hung in the air. We, the elders, your brothers, need you. The plea echoed in the shadows, unanswered, as Eldur retreated back to the uncertain safety of his own realm. Shadows of Alliance. Back in his hidden cave, Eldur discussed the recent encounter with Serana. No, he is not one of us, Eldur concluded with a sigh, reflecting on Eldritch's refusal to join their cause. Serana smirked slightly. Good. There's something odd about him. He never truly was one of us, even before all this. Meanwhile, in the barren expanses of the Shadow Realm, the Alpha set its sights on the fortress of Veylan. As memories of the past flooded back, a simmering anger boiled up inside. The Alpha's eyes emitted a primal red glow as it began to charge toward the fortress, driven by a singular purpose. Suddenly, a commanding voice echoed through the realm. Stop! You cannot win this one! The Alpha halted, muscles tensed, ready to destroy anything or anyone who dared to obstruct its path. Standing before it was an old, frail-looking elder, Eldritch. Remember me? We're on the same team out there, big guy, Eldritch said, trying to calm the raging beast. A flash of memory crossed the Alpha's mind. Images of Eldritch, Winter, and itself in combat together. Eldritch continued, I know you seek to confront Veylan, but he is beyond you, too powerful. And to what end? We cannot leave this place. To do so would undo everything he sacrificed for. Eldritch paused, his gaze piercing into the Alpha's fiery eyes. I cannot say for sure, but I think he may be here, in one of these memories. Which one, though, I'm unsure. Why don't we look for him together?" The Alpha looked towards the fortress, its primal nature yearning to unleash its fury. Yet, it then glanced back at Eldritch, considering the memories of winter and the possibility that he might still exist within the Shadow Realm. With a heavy snort, the Alpha turned away from the fortress, its decision made. "Good choice," Eldritch nodded approvingly. Together, they would search for Winter, hoping to find a way to harness his intellect and power once again. This newfound alliance between the primal force of the Alpha and the cunning mind of Eldritch marked a significant shift in the dynamics of the Shadow Realm, setting the stage for a deeper exploration of their entwined fates. Chapter 6. Quest for Power. Veylan strolled through the echoing halls of his fortress, each step resonating with the absolute authority he wielded over the Shadow Realm. He approached a golden, glowing nexus of energy, the core of his power and the lifeline of the realm itself. As he gazed into the pulsating light, he muttered, "They must never find you." Within the swirling luminescence of the nexus, a brief image of a chrome mask flickered, hinting at secrets deeply buried. Meanwhile, Eldur emerged frustrated from yet another memory within the Shadow Realm. "This is getting us nowhere," he exclaimed, his voice echoing off the formless landscapes around him. "We need power, something to fight Veylan with. We must start looking for more powerful beings." Serana, who had been quietly observing the endless shadows, suddenly spoke up. "Do you think the gods are here?" Her question hung in the air, a beacon of both hope and dread. Eldur paused, considering the possibility. If they are, surely their shadow memories would stand out like beacons in this dreary place. The idea seemed to ignite a spark of strategy in his eyes. "Send out a scout," he commanded. "Have them traverse this land for anomaly portals. We need an edge." At Eldur's behest, one of their newfound elder allies transformed into a shadow and slipped away, moving through the realm with a purpose. This elder was tasked with finding any anomalies that might indicate the presence of a god's shadow memory, a potential game changer in their struggle against Veylan's tyranny. Back in the fortress, Veylan, unaware of the elder's renewed efforts, continued to survey his domain, his mind wandering through the complexities of his creation and the beings he was sworn to confine. Each creature's essence, trapped within the realm, contributed to the balance he was charged with maintaining. Yet, the presence of Winter's image in the Nexus troubled him. It was a reminder of the thin line he walked between control and chaos. As the Elder Scout ventured further into the Shadow Realm, the landscape began to change subtly. The shadows seemed to pulse with the more intense darkness, and distant echoes of power resonated through the air. It was here that the scout felt the air thicken, a sign that something monumental lay ahead. The stage was set for a discovery that could either doom them to eternal shadows or elevate them to challenge Veylan's rule directly. Whatever lay ahead, Eldur and his allies knew this was a turning point, one that could finally tip the scales in their shadowy war. Chapter 7. Confrontation of Alphas. The Alpha, with Eldritch by his side, tore across the Shadow Realm, their powerful strides echoing through the void. Their mission was clear: find Winter, potentially locked within a shadowy memory, before Veylan could tighten his grip on the realm. Meanwhile, Veylan patrolled the desolate expanses of his domain, his gaze drawn to a secluded, shadowy memory, well hidden in a remote corner of the realm. Speaking into the swirling darkness, he said, "It seems your offspring is causing me some trouble. I need you to put him back in his place." The image within the memory growled back, a formidable, primal werewolf, the true progenitor of Winter's Alpha, born of sheer ferocity and instinct, designed to dominate and destroy any opposition. "Time to put the family in its place," Veylan commanded, his voice echoing with authority. "After all, there can be only one alpha." The ancient werewolf roared into the sky, its call reverberating across the realm, a clear and terrifying declaration of impending dominance. Elsewhere, the Elder Scout, utilizing the speed of shadow, traversed the eerie landscapes of the Shadow Realm. After a relentless search, the Scout stumbled upon an anomalous part of the realm, darker, colder, and seemingly energy-draining. In the center stood a massive portal, a shadowy memory far larger and more ominous than any other encountered. Compelled by curiosity and duty, the Elder entered the portal, only to find himself in a nightmarish scene. Hordes of undead zombies roaming in unison, their soulless eyes void of any consciousness. Realizing the danger of this place, the Elder attempted to flee, but found himself ensnared by an unseen force. "Going somewhere," boomed the resonant voice of Necros, the god of the undead, filling the space with dread. The Elder, now trapped and facing the god responsible for the undead's creation, braced for a confrontation that might well determine his fate, and perhaps that of the entire Shadow Realm. Back with Eldur and Serana in their hidden cave, they awaited the Scout's return, unaware of the Scout's perilous situation. They discussed their next moves, the atmosphere heavy with the urgency of their mission and the looming threat of Veylan's ever-watchful presence. This chapter sets the stage for multiple showdowns between the true primal Alpha and Winter's Alpha, between the Elders and Veylan, and between the Shadow Realm's denizens and their overseer, Veylan. As tensions rise, the fate of the Shadow Realm hangs precariously in the balance. Final chapter. Echoes of reality. In the quiet stillness of a small hospital designed for the care of Alzheimer's patients, a nurse made her rounds, tending to a woman named Mara. The room was softly lit, providing a calm atmosphere for those in the final stages of their conditions. As the nurse adjusted the blanket over Mara, she glanced at the monitor displaying Mara's vital signs. Unexpectedly, a blip appeared on the screen. It was subtle yet unmistakable, a slight surge in brain activity, like a faint whisper of consciousness returning from a deep slumber. The nurse paused, her eyes narrowing in mild surprise. Such fluctuations were uncommon, especially for a patient like Mara, whose condition had progressively worsened over time. Curious, the nurse checked the connections of the monitor and ensured everything was in order. She then observed Mara more closely, looking for any signs of awareness. Mara's expression remained unchanged, her features serene yet distant, but the monitor continued to show occasional spikes in activity, suggesting that deep within the recesses of her mind, something was stirring. As the nurse continued her observations, she couldn't help but feel a mix of hope and intrigue. What thoughts were navigating through Mara's mind? Were they remnants of past memories, or something more profound? The room felt charged with a subtle energy, as if Mara were on the brink of awakening from a long and profound dream. This scene closed the chapter on part 2 of Crimson Dawn, the Shadow Realm, leaving a thread of mystery. Was Mara somehow connected to the tumultuous events unfolding in the Shadow Realm? Could her increasing brain activity signify a deeper link to the otherworldly struggles of Eldur, Serana, and the others trapped in the realm of shadows? As the monitor continued to beep softly in the background, the story paused, promising that the echoes of the Shadow Realm were reaching into the very fabric of reality, hinting at revelations yet to come in the next season of Crimson Dawn.